Hello and welcome to GJN. My name is John Smith, and joining me today is Peter. What's your last name?
Perry Jones. Close enough,
Perry.
though.
Perry. I'm deeply sorry. Perry Jones from OP Gaming Society. Today we'll be discussing hashtag SavePoint, the panel to be held at South by Southwest, or was to be held there. Barry, could you give us a few of the details of the panel before today, just to anybody who isn't informed? What was hashtag SavePoint?
So SafePoint was intentionally supposed to be a panel discussing some of the issues surrounding the gaming community and game journalism, and then kind of the foreseeable future of both the community and the industry. We had three major questions that we posed, um, of which I kind of just said, but I'll say it again to be a little bit more clear. The first one was, what is the current social political landscape of the gaming community? The second was, what is the importance of journalistic integrity in video game journalism? And the third was, what is the foreseeable future of both the community and the industry? And that was the panel before all this happened, and still is the panel. We still want to have the panel, and still plan to. It's been our plan B since square one, and still is plan B.
All right, and the recent news with the South by Southwest canceling the panel, as well as the panel on online harassment. What details can you give us from their side? What was it like working with them and experiencing the falling out?
Um, so I ended up getting to have a phone conversation with the kind of head of the South by Southwest gaming convention, and first thing that I took away from it was that he was very overwhelmed. Both he and his team were extremely overwhelmed by the response from both sides, from Gamergate, from anti-Gamergate, from people unaffiliated who just read news sites and barely know what this whole argument is about, and they were very overwhelmed. And the general gist of what he said was he didn't, both he and the director of South by Southwest as a corporation didn't want to be involved in this conversation because it was just too intense. And he said the way he put it to me was it was the worst thing that they've experienced, and they held a panel on Snowden. They just both sides were so intensely against one another that they had to wash their hands clean of it, and they had to back out and say, look, we can't host this. We can't have this discussion here. It threatens everyone's safety. Just because I mean, I can't really verify any threats. I mean, I personally didn't receive any threats of any sort. I imagine that most of, if any threats at all, were levied at South by Southwest. People surprisingly didn't come after my organization, which I was expecting, but no one did. They all went after South by Southwest, probably because they're the ones hosting it. But they just seemed very overwhelmed, and he gave a pretty long, lengthy explanation as to why they needed to cancel it, both panels, ours and Randy Harper's. And he said, look, we want to host a fair and honest discussion. We'd like to have both panels, but if the discussion becomes just too toxic on both ends, then look, we can't do it. If we cancel one, we have to cancel the other. And it became a situation where they just needed to cancel both because they were both equally, can I say toxic? But it was bad on both ends.
So, from your experience, after the panels were registered, you had not personally received any threats, but having been in contact with the organizers for South by Southwest, they had expressed feelings of harassment or trouble just trying to host both panels. From our side, we can't confirm any of those threats, but their statements going forward were, look, we can't host this. It's just too much trouble. This is worse than Snowden, as you had said that they had said, and that there wasn't really any feeling of malice or like there was no bad feelings between anybody. They just didn't feel like it was going to be they weren't going to be safe.
I mean, safety was part of the concern. The other part of the concern was their staff. Their staff was obviously under assail from the internet at large, and they were literally devoting a majority of their time to just two panels, to fielding questions, concerns, comments, anger from all sides of every argument for two panels out of the 20 or so panels they have just for the gaming event, and the who knows how many panels for the entirety of South by Southwest. So it was too much time to be devoted to just two panels, and they really needed to step away from it. Um, he said that they had received countless emails, phone calls, messages on Twitter, tweets, all from both sides, praise and scorn, and it was difficult to sift through everything and keep it under control. And the conversation grew far beyond their control before they knew it, and they just needed to step away.
All very, very good reasons put forward from South by Southwest. And later in the day, you had posted a statement on the OP Gaming Society website. Could you go over what you said in that statement for us here?
Um, I essentially gave the reasons that I just stated from South by Southwest, and kind of gave my plan B of wanting to still host the panel, uh, do it around the same time as South by Southwest to allow for the largest possible audience. And so far, the same panelists seem to be on board. Lynn Walsh has expressed great interest. Mercedes Carrera has expressed interest, and Nick Robilick has expressed some interest. He says to keep him updated with the logistics of the situation. But we still plan to host a panel. That we refuse to give up on SavePoint. We refuse to rob gamers of this platform that they've desperately needed for so long. Um, that's why I conceived that Plan B. It was from the get-go, before we even submitted the panel to South by Southwest. We said we just might need a Plan B. What if this doesn't get through? What if they decline it? What if it gets canceled? Well, then we need to have a Plan B. Let's host it ourselves. I mean, one, it'll be good for our organization. I mean, that's kind of implied, and two, it'll be good for gamers in general to keep this going, to make sure that SafePoint still happens. And then also the final note I gave was that I wanted everyone, not just Gamergate, but anti-Gamergate and everyone in between, to calm down. Don't don't attack South by Southwest. I mean, they did what they felt they needed to do, and there's no reason to send them scornful emails for canceling the panel. I mean, that really only drives home the reason behind why they canceled both panels in the first place. And this is me speaking to both Gamergate and anti-Gamergate. Let's all just take a second, go outside, take a breather. I have a cat. I sat down for a moment and I started petting my cat and fed her because she was apparently starving. And just relax, play a video game. I mean, that's what we do. We're gamers. Play a video game and just relax. It's a big deal, yes, but we need to go about it cordially and we need to be civil about it. I've already expressed that we're going to continue. We're still going to have this panel. The Open Gaming Society has every intention of making this the best possible panel. We're still committed to that, and I just want everyone to be civil on both sides.
So, just to state the facts, the panel is still happening. Um, uh, there was no hard feelings between you or South by Southwest. It was mostly for their staff as in time and logistics, as well as security concerns. Um, do you have any details you want to state for us on the logistics of, well, not like the planning or anything, but do you have any details for us as to let the public know how the panel will continue?
So we plan to have it hopefully somewhere in downtown Austin. I mean, obviously this is Plan B has kind of just been pulled out. The red folder's been slapped on the desk and we've opened it. Um, we hope to have it around the same time as South by Southwest Gaming, again, to allow for the largest possible audience. our largest potential audience. The same speakers seem to be lined up. Mercedes and Lynn have both confirmed with me. Nick is kind of on the fence. He's given me a maybe and asked that I keep him updated with the logistics. We'll be providing the venue. We'll be funding everything. We'll be providing the venue, the security, the staff, volunteers, everything, all equipment. We'll have to we'll have to come up with on our own. So that's really all the details that I can give at the moment.
That's understandable. For those just joining us, I'm joined here by OP Gaming Society, the the organization running the hashtag SavePoint panel that was to be hosted at South by Southwest. To go over the facts, both hashtag SavePoint and the gaming harassment panel were closed down as a decision from South by Southwest over security and logistics concerns on their end. We know that threats were South by Southwest has made statements that threats were made. We don't have any confirmation on our end. We know that hashtag SavePoint is still happening somewhere in downtown Austin at the same time as South by Southwest. Mercedes Carrera and Lynn Walsh have both confirmed they are still attending. The other attendant, I believe his name is Rob.
Rick. Nick.
Nick. I am awful
You said
with
Rob,
names.
and you gave me an R, and I wanted to say Nick, and I put the R in myself. This is your fault.
You'll have to excuse how awful I am with names, but he's wanting to wait for any more details before he confirms, just on the logistical end. And you'll be hosting the panel during the same time as South by Southwest Gaming to ensure that you can have as large a audience as possible. And you stated those are the only details you could give at the time.
Right. As far as logistics are concerned, that's all we have at the moment.
All right. How's it been for you personally, having to go through this process? Putting on the panel and speaking from experience myself, having put on Airplay, that was a lengthy 3-month process that was a lot of personal turmoil for me. Are you comfortable sharing any of your thoughts now?
Let's see. I'm a pretty calm and easygoing guy. I really don't let things get to me. No matter how bad things get, I always think it could be worse. So even when the chips are down like they are now, and I'd still look forward and say, it could be worse, but I know I can make it better. Um, any personal toll? Not necessarily. I usually just take everything in stride, largely because I plan ahead, and this is a situation where I planned ahead. I had a plan B, and I told myself from the very beginning, you cannot give up on this. It's too important for, one, the gamers, and it's also too important for our organization to just give up on. This is something that needs to happen. But I mean, I haven't really, I can't say I haven't gone through any personal turmoil. It's definitely made my life a lot busier, but I like being busy. I like the extra stress. Keeps me going. It's better than coffee.
uh, Event coordinating is a hell of a drug. I'll be opening the floor to questions at this point, if you're comfortable with that.
Sure.
All right. So, in chat, you can ask questions. We'll be looking over and trying to answer them. If you have any other questions, we will also be looking through the Ask GJN hashtag on Twitter. I believe there's a Kotaku in Action thread right now. I'll be opening that link shortly, and I know the thread is posted in the 8chan V thread. I'm unaware if there's any slash Gamergate HQ thread on this stream currently, but if there is and anyone wants to direct me to that, I'll look for questions there as well.
I wouldn't know. I don't typically go to the chans. I try to stay away. I feel
Well,
it's in my best interest.
Um, the Chans are a very special and unique place. Personally, as a poster on them, it's a bit less cryptic and strange for me to go there because I know the language, if that makes any sense. But I just want to make sure that every community knows that we're looking for questions on all fronts. We'll be answering as many as possible.
I at least know how to try Force. I can say that.
Is there any word on how serious the local authorities are taking this?
Not that I have heard. Uh, South by Southwest kind of kept it contained to within their organization. I don't think they've voiced any of their concerns to authorities. They saw what was happening and immediately kind of took their hands off of it and let it go.
Hmm. Just looking over chat now. It was basically a gamer community panel, not a GG panel, right? Although GG and gamers do go hand in hand. A
Right.
question from Con Param in chat.
Yeah, so the idea behind this, and when I initially got handed this panel, I'm sure everyone knows the story behind that. Craig Britton kind of tossed the idea around on Twitter, and I saw it happen, and immediately everyone rallied against him, and then Pixelated Parrot actually put the idea that I should host it or organize it, and that's how I took over. But when I initially got the panel, I said to myself, this needs to be a conversation with the gaming community and not just Gamergate. That's so incredibly important because we could have a Gamergate panel. And in fact, I imagine if we put in the panel and called it hashtag Gamergate, a discussion on the gaming community, it may well have still been accepted. Um, but I felt it was so important that it be about the gaming community because if we make it about just Gamergate, we'd essentially be preaching to the choir. We'd be talking in an echo chamber. Only Gamergate people would show up, and we'd be saying the same thing that we've known for the past year and a quarter. So I felt it was incredibly important that it be an open panel, that it be about the gaming community as a whole, and that the ideas expressed on the panel and that the questions asked on the panel extend far beyond Gamergate. That's why there's the importance of ethics in game journalism, which is a Gamergate topic, obviously. But then there's the social political landscape of the gaming community, which is really only half a Gamergate topic, and it extends beyond Gamergate. And then, of course, the future of the community and the industry, Gamergate can, of course, talk about, but so can the rest of the gaming community. And I really wanted to bring in everyone. I really want to bring these two sides that just vehemently hate each other together and get them to talk, as I think we just largely misunderstand each other.
Um, just a question for myself personally. How do you view this panel in relation to other events that have been happening in the industry and how this panel might go forward and help to make things better?
If the panel can go the way that I hope, if we can get more than just Gamergate in the door. If we can get people, who are maybe opposed to Gamergate or who are on the fence about the whole situation in alongside Gamergate supporters and get everyone to listen together and get everyone to ask their questions and to engage in this conversation, I hope that it could bring us a little bit closer together. I mean, at our core, we're all the same thing. We're all gamers. I mean, think about it. When you sit down and you play whatever games you play, and I'll admit I'm a huge League of Legends addict. um, when I sit down to play League, I don't care what XX Fiora Master does in his free time. I care that he's higher than Gold 5 and doesn't feed. Um, so at our core, we're all gamers. The only difference between us is whether or not we have hashtag Gamergate anywhere in our Twitter feed. And I think that it's important that we come together and we talk these things out because we misunderstand each other so much. Gamergate misunderstands its opposition, and its opposition misunderstands Gamergate. And I think if we can come together, we can find a common ground. And I can prove this. I actually used to have pretty pleasant conversations with Ashley Lynch. She is a very a vehemently anti-Gamergate person, and I was able to have a very cordial conversation with her. How did I do it? We talked about video games, what games we're playing, what movies we're excited for. I think at one point we were talking about the Fantastic Four, the new Fantastic Four that came out pretty recently, and how we both thought it was garbage, and we agreed on something. Even though we stood on opposite sides of a fence, we still were able to agree on something. It's about finding that common ground, and that's really what not just this panel, but it's what my organization hopes to achieve, to bring these two sides together.
So for anybody just joining us, we're going to quickly review the facts before we get back to questions. Earlier today, South by Southwest released a statement stating that both the panel on online harassment and hashtag SavePoint, the panel for open discussion in the games industry, were canceled due to concerns of safety as well as logistics on the part of South by Southwest. They had made statements saying that they were receiving threats, which were not lobbied to OP Gaming Society, only to the South by Southwest staff and crew. The South by Southwest panel, this hashtag SavePoint panel will still be happening in downtown Austin sometime around South by Southwest Gaming. Mercedes Carrera and Lynn Walsh have both confirmed that they are still in attendance, and I still can't quite remember his name too well.
Nick.
Nick is waiting for details on logistics before he confirms again. Other than that, how would you compare this panel in relation to SPJ Airplay and the message that was sending out, or the effect that had?
Let's see. SPJ was kind of the first real platform that gamers had to voice some of their issues. Obviously the first session was about ethics primarily, and the second session was supposed to be something that extended beyond just ethics and talked more about social politics. But the bomb threats sort of washed that under the bridge. Um, the hope was that this would go a lot better. South by Southwest is a lot bigger and is a lot more important. Okay, let me not say that. That undermines SPJ. South by Southwest it's a lot bigger of an event. I mean, it's not just South by Southwest Gaming. It's a massive event that encompasses 3 festivals and several mini festivals, South by Southwest Gaming included. And in comparison, I hoped that we would get a much larger attendance and a much larger viewership, and that would have been a very good thing, because you can guarantee that people who disagree would have had eyes on this, and they would have been just looking for anything and everything they can go and write blogs about, and hopefully the gaming community would have shown its better side and shown that this Gamergate movement isn't about misogyny and keeping women out of tech and other libelous claims thrown at the movement. It's about the ethical practices of games journalists. It's about the political agendas being pushed in games media and in games in some cases, and obvious pandering and so on and so forth. So the hope was that this panel could reach people.
A question we have asked in chat, which is a bit of a criticism of the panel. How do you talk with people who don't want to listen, per se? We see time and time again with the certain groups who sit opposite of where, say, maybe this panel does, that they simply don't want to listen. How would you respond to that?
It's a fairly insurmountable task, getting people to listen who don't want to listen. And this panel was kind of the first step towards that. I did my best to advertise it as a very neutral panel, in the hopes that we could get at least some, some undecided ears, or some maybe opposite ears. I'm trying to find my words there. Into the room and get them to listen. It doesn't matter if the majority of the panelists were basically Gamergate supporters or affiliated with Gamergate. What matters is that we get people in to listen. And South by Southwest was a really good chance to do that because the door is open. It was South by Southwest Gaming. It was a free event, and anyone could come in. And it really didn't matter if they came in with the intention of just writing an angry blog afterwards. At least they came and listened, and maybe something might stick. At least that's the hope. Call me optimistic, but that's definitely the hope. But getting people to listen who don't want to listen is incredibly difficult. It requires a platform that's already open.
Fighting the good fight. Um, if you're seeing any questions in chat or on Twitter, any other platforms that you see, you can bring them up as well if you want to answer them. Otherwise, I'm still scouring. If there's anything you want to say, we can go for a few more minutes. But if you're ready, whenever you are, we can make closing statements.
Let's see, there's one question. Do you think people can be oppressed if their race or gender is not represented in media? Um, Not really. I mean, I gotta look around my shoulder and make sure Kotaku's not like hiding behind my stove listening. Um, Look, it's up to creators whether or not they represent a specific race or gender. And that we strongly believe in freedom of creativity. If if a white guy sits down and he wants to make a game about white people, I mean, or maybe not about white people, but it has primarily white people in it, fine, that's his game. If you don't like it, there are thousands of other games available for you to play. If someone sits down and they want to make a game with a strong female protagonist, which I always hated that term, it also almost implies that female protagonists are weak by default. So they've got a great female protagonist, and that's their shtick. They can make that game. There's nothing wrong with that. No one should say otherwise. That's their right to make that, and it's also your right to not play it if you don't like it. So we strongly believe in free speech and freedom of creativity. And I don't really believe that you're oppressed if you're not represented in a video game. I mean, the best advice I can give is if that's really how you feel and you're really passionate about that view, then sit down, gain the knowledge, and make your own game. It's so incredibly easy now. The Unreal Engine 4, which I have, makes it so easy to make a game with their blueprint system. A child could do it in 30 minutes or less with the assets they have built in and the free assets they give away every month. There's Construct 2, there's Game Maker, there's RPG Maker, there's all sorts of so many tools available to help you make your own game the way that you want with the representation that you want, and whether or not people like it is really irrelevant because you made your own thing. You did what people have said to do for ages, and people criticize Brianna Wu a lot because their game is quite frankly not that great, but she did exactly what we just said to do. She sat down and made a game. How much work she put into it is up for up for debate, but she did it. She made her own thing, and I can at least respect her for that. I don't like her as a person, but for that, I can at least say, good on you. Make something else too. You did exactly what we said, and you've got the representation there that you wanted. Great. Pat on the back for you. That's really the best I can say on that.
All right, I just quickly want to clarify, and this is just bookkeeping. The opinions of those we have on GJN isn't necessarily representative of the network itself. I also probably should have done this at the beginning, but whoops, first day on the job. Quick disclosure, GJN as a network has reached out to OP Gaming Society before today for interview. We sent the offers publicly over Twitter, and that's all I needed to disclose. I've got a few questions here from Twitter. If my phone would load a little faster. Would you be looking for Kickstarter funding? for your
So
plan B?
so here's my thing with crowdfunding. So I tried crowdfunding once before, and albeit the motivation for it was incredibly selfish, and I realized that about a day later, and I ended up canceling that campaign. It was around the time of GG and DC, and I wanted to take my organization to GG and DC, so I tried to raise money for it, and I realized that both Gamergate and gamers alike really don't benefit from this. Only we benefit from it. So I canceled it. I said, this is stupid and jealous, or stupid and selfish. I don't know why I said jealous. It's the wrong term. Stupid and selfish. So I kind of made a mandate for myself that we won't do crowdfunding for things because unless it directly benefits gamers, it would be selfish. I'm still on the fence on whether or not we'll do any sort of crowdfunding campaign for this panel. I mean, I originally just planned to come out of pocket for it. I mean, I work full time. I make really decent money. I really don't have any issue coming out of pocket for it. But crowdfunding would help alleviate some of that. But I would only want to raise enough to do this panel. I really don't plan to make money from this organization. That's not what I want. Like I said, I make more than enough for myself and my cat. I think I'll be fine. And I do this for the love of it because I realize that this is definitely needed. This is desperately needed, and I don't want any money. If people want me to crowdfund, if they really are passionate about this and they want to help, then I'll set up a crowdfunding campaign. But for now, I'm on the fence about it just because the last time I did it, I was incredibly selfish, and I guess this is a way of me kind of recusing myself.
All right. I just want to go over the facts very quickly for anybody just joining us. Earlier today, South by Southwest released a statement saying that the online harassment and hashtag SavePoint panels were both being removed from the South by Southwest gaming lineup. South by Southwest released a statement saying that they had been receiving threats. To our knowledge, and speaking here with the OP Gaming Society, we know that no threats have come to him, but have mostly gone through the South by Southwest staff. There are two big reasons, as explained to OP Gaming Society, were concerns for staffing and logistics. They were spending too much time on two panels, as well as security for those attending the event. You plan on continuing the panel somewhere in downtown Austin around the same time as South by Southwest. Mercedes Carrera and Lynn Walsh have both confirmed, while Nick is still waiting for details before he confirms again. You are on the fence about raising any Kickstarter money. You have not confirmed or denied yet. And question from Twitter. What do you have to do to confirm the plan B? Any big obstacles?
Um, so to confirm Plan B, we need to confirm a location. Obviously, that's first, foremost, and very important. We need a location. Second is our equipment. We need to be able to stream the event. South by Southwest, we asked them if we could stream the event when we had the panel with them, and they would never say stream. They only ever said records. That led me to believe that we wouldn't have been able to stream it, only record it. So this time around we'll be able to stream, and we want to make sure that that stream actually happens. The third obstacle, I suppose, would be confirming all the speakers. Lynn and Mercedes have definitely confirmed. I'd like it if Nick confirmed. He's a game developer, and it'd be great to have him there. And then potentially expanding our panelists. Have maybe one or two more panelists. We obviously don't want too many, because that becomes a little cumbersome. And then from there, it's just logistics of lodging, which is going to be very hectic during South by Southwest, and to plan that stuff way ahead of time, like 3-4 months out. And obviously getting people out here, getting flights scheduled, and things of that nature. So really, the big two things we need to confirm are the location and equipment. Once those are confirmed, I believe at that point we can we can announce that it's officially official. Officially official.
So another question I have is, how far is the venue going to be from South by Southwest in terms of distance? Is it going to be convenient for people from South by Southwest to reach you? And obviously, from the statement you just gave, you haven't yet confirmed a location for the panel to take place. But do you have any projections on where your venue may be located and how far the distance may be?
Um, we'll certainly want to have it downtown. It's a matter of how close to the Austin Convention Center we can get, because that's where South by Southwest Gaming is actually slated to happen. Well, not this year, but next year, 2016. There are plenty of hotels nearby that have rooms available for rent that we could use, or spaces available for rent that we could use to hold a panel. It's just a matter of getting a hold of them before they fill up, which we have to get on immediately. So I can't really give anything even tentative at the moment. Just know that it'll be within 3 to 4 blocks. That's a rough guesstimate. I really can't confirm anything at this time.
All right. Unless you have any questions that you've seen, I'm going to give everything a quick once-over once again.
Let's see, I don't see anything in the chat currently. I haven't been following the hashtag.
I'm not getting much on the hashtag front either. I should pull up the Kotaku thread and see if anything's been posted yet. Kotaku in action, rather. Not getting anything on my end, so we're going to go over the facts one more time, then we can go through closing statements. We know that earlier this morning, South by Southwest released a statement saying the gaming harassment and hashtag SavePoint panels have both been closed. South by Southwest released statements claiming that they were receiving threats. They mostly shut down the panels. The reasons they stated to OP Gaming Society, who's joining me now live, were that there were security threats, or concerns rather, to the convention itself, as well as staff and logistical concerns. They were spending too much time worrying about 2 panels in an event that has many more. We know that hashtag SavePoint, the panel itself, is still happening. It's to be hosted in downtown Austin, somewhere close to South by Southwest. We know that Mercedes Guerrera and Lynn Walsh have both confirmed, while Nick is waiting for logistical details. Information on Kickstarters is OP Gaming Society is on the fence. They're unsure whether or not a Kickstarter campaign will be run. There are no tentative details on the panel just yet. And if you have any closing remarks, go for them.
Closing remarks. Here we go. Speech time. Speech. Look, I just want to do what's best for everyone. Not just Gamergate, but everyone in the gaming community. I want the best panel that can bring everyone together so we can all speak as equals. We can all talk to each other. We misunderstand each other so much, and having this panel is so important, and it's why I refuse to give up on it. It's why my organization refuses to give up on it, because we put that on a par with giving up on gamers, and we won't do that. Our organization relies on the trust and support of gamers, and we will continue to push forward and make sure that this panel is a success. We won't let anything get in the way. Those are my closing remarks.
All right. Thank you for joining us here on Game Journalism Network. John Smith here will be signing out. Join us for the next live stream or videos for the latest and greatest updates going on in the game journalism world, as well as the games industry in general. And thank you for watching.